Hello, my name is Stephen Wright. I'm a career coach and I help high achieving financial services professionals make their next smart move. So, as we begin to think about going back to work, it will have occurred to many that I no longer have to commute, certainly 5 days a week. After all, I've been working effectively during lockdown from home, and maybe I don't need to do that anymore. And of course, there's great advantages to that because you can save huge amounts of time and money and stress by no longer having to commute. And of course, managers will also be thinking, well, that's great. I don't need so much office space, and therefore there's the opportunity to cut costs there. However, I do think that there are some considerations to ponder the new way in which people are going to be working, and I've come up with 5 ideas, which I hope you'll find useful. The first one is on team spirit. We all know by watching sport that a team which has a really strong team ethic and ethos and team spirit is going to be a team that's going to be successful, especially when that team ethos is underpinned by commonly held values which then determine the way in which people behave. So it's going to be a real challenge for managers and leaders to find ways to generate, to engender, to foster a sense of team spirit and have people behaving by the agreed values when everybody is dispersed and working at home. By the same token, most employees want to be on a great team. Everybody wants to be pointing in the same direction, working towards a commonly held goal, helping out colleagues and team members. So that's going to be a challenge for employees as well. So that's something to consider. The second thing is learning on the job. We all know that we can improve our skills so that we're in a position to add more value to our employees, which will enhance our careers over time by doing further education courses, gaining professional qualifications. But there is the notion of proximity and learning by osmosis. If you want to be a great trader, sit next to a great trader, and over time you'll simply absorb things and ideas and notions and skills that you otherwise wouldn't be able to learn from a textbook. So learning on the job by learning with your colleagues, by being in proximity with them, is something that I think will be a challenge going forward if everybody or a lot of people are working from home. The next point, number 3, is the idea of being able to really focus whilst working at home, especially if you're in a crowded place. Someone once said that focus is a superpower. And so the ability for people who are at work at home to focus when there are myriad distractions pulling them away from being in the zone, being in that moment of focus, is going to be problematic. And I guess a number of people who've been doing that during lockdown have found that to be a challenge, but also have been finding ways in which they can mitigate the downside of that. The next point, number 4, is what I call work mode. So when you're at work and you're surrounded by other people who are in work mode, it is fairly straightforward to be that steely-eyed corporate warrior who's highly focused on the job at hand. You're in a work mode. Whereas if you're at home, you may be trying to be in that work mode, but at the same time, moments later, you're required to be in a different, more family-oriented mode. So the ability to switch this sense of where your center of gravity lies in terms of what you're thinking and doing may be something that people are going to have to learn to do. After all, when you are commuting, you have a chance to get your head around what you're going to be doing during the day and get yourself game ready. And by the same token, when you're commuting back home, you have a chance to decompress. If you're no longer commuting and you're required to be in work mode and family mode almost within the same moments, then that's something that is a skill that's going to have to be learned. The final point is extra time. So extra time, let's say you work, you travel for an hour out and an hour back, that's 2 hours a day, that's 10 hours a week. Well, the question is what's going to happen to that extra 10 hours that are now available if you're working from home? Well, of course, the other thought is, well, whose 10 hours is that? Your employer may think, well, that's great, my workforce now has an extra 10 hours that they can devote to the cause, whilst you may be thinking, I want to use that time for family time, I want to use that time to get further education. So there's going to be a conversation about whose owns that time and how that time is going to be best used. So there you go. There's 5 thoughts that I think you might find useful to ponder. I've no doubt that I haven't thought about everything, and I'd appreciate it if you have any further ideas. It'd be great if you can put them in the comments below. I'll be putting the link to the blog that I wrote about this in the comments below. And of course, if you think this is going to be useful for people you know, please do feel free to share and like this video. So there we go. Thank you very much.